You are welcome here. Isn't that a wonderful reminder? Wherever we are, we find that place where we're welcome. This week, in our April series, Fertilizing Our Future. And this is a call to focus on the long-term cultivation of our inner and outer worlds. And our topic today, Enriching Our Soil of Possibilities, is a reminder to be mindful of how our past experiences can nurture our personal and spiritual growth. Before moving into the talk, I want to give a big shout out to Reverend Tony Bradford for holding things down last Sunday and delivering the talk. And I listened to the talk, and it was a great wrap up to our March series, which focused on flow. And his talk reminded us that as we embrace the flow in various areas of our lives, it also is a setup for fertilizing our future. So you'll see that our themes are tying in together throughout the year. And also a big shout out to our support team that stepped up and stepped out and showed out and just delivered an excellent service for all of us. So thank you to each and every one who had a part. And for those of you who came to the center and those who joined us via our various media formats. Today we're focusing our attention on enriching our soil possibilities. And I always like to begin with a quote from Dr. Ernest Holmes. And for this week, I have chosen from our Science of Mind textbook, a section from the chapter on mental equivalence. And this is on page 290 in the textbook as a reference for you. And this is what Dr. Holmes wrote. In mental work, we must realize that there is one infinite mind which is consciously directing our destiny. One infinite mind which is consciously directing our destiny. And this is the part that I like. Declare every day that no mistakes have been made, none are made, and none can be made. Declare there is one supreme intelligence which governs, guides, and guards, tells me what to do, when to act, and how to act. Declare even further that everything necessary to the complete expression of the most boundless experience of joy is mine now. And when we make these declarations, we do this in perfect faith, acting in perfect assurance. And Holmes reminds us to know this, to see this, to feel it, and to be it. And by doing this every day for a few minutes, we do it until the time comes when it's no longer necessary. It just becomes a part of our experience. It's no longer necessary to focus on that. It just becomes a part of our awareness, part of who we are. And he says, when this time comes, we will know it because of demonstrations that have been made. And I really like the part where he tells us to declare, because a declaration is just another manifestation or an acknowledgement of something that has already been completed. You know, for some of us who may have grew up in a more traditional church experience, we've often heard the words declare and decree. Declare and decree. And that's just another way of saying, it is so. It is as I have declared, and I am co-joining with Spirit. I am co-aligning myself with the Spirit to declare and decree that whatever I express in my life, that is for my good. And this is the key. What is for my good and what is for the highest and best good of everyone involved. This is what is going to manifest. And we know that with assurance. We go forth with the assurance that that is the demonstration. And so in looking at this idea of enriching our soil possibilities, I have a couple of ideas that I want to share with you as to some action items that we may take. There was, I understand there was a protest yesterday, nationwide protest. I was in San Francisco not for the protest. Uh, get that clear. I was not there for the protest, but I experienced the impact of some of it as I was leaving San Francisco, heading back to Monterey. Um, a very, very dear friend of mine is a multiple myeloma survivor of 23 plus years. And every year, the Multiple Myeloma Research Foundation sponsors runs and walks for research throughout the United States. And I think they may do it internationally. I'm not sure about the international. But yesterday was the San Francisco event, and so we had the walk at Marina Green, and there were 11 of us. Yeah, there were a couple there were a couple of new people and some that were not. Some of the regulars were not there. But anyway, we had a wonderful walk and then lunch at a nice quiet restaurant that was off the beaten path. So we got in and we were and this was a new location for us. Of course, we were sitting there leisurely engaging and catching up in our annual event. And we began to notice that people were waiting for the tables that we had put together. So we said, I think we should move on. And so it was a very wonderful experience. But cultivating the fertile soil, our inner soil, is an essential and personal growth for our spiritual development, cultivating our fertile inner soil. So we're talking about doing our inner mental work that Holmes reminds us in our opening comments. Just as a gardener tills the soil to ensure a beautiful harvest, we must nurture our inner environment to realize our full potential. And again, this is taking us back to the declare and decree. Our spiritual practices help us to prioritize long-term goals, nurture our minds and hearts, and empower us to realize our highest aspirations. And sometimes as we go through our personal lives, sometimes as I go through the routine activities of daily living, I tend to maybe not totally forget, but they kind of go on the simmer on a back burner of those aspirations and the goals that I have set. And I have to remind myself it's time to turn up the heat a little bit, if you will, and to be more active, to be more proactive into seeing where it is that I can do my own mental work and take a deeper dive into recognizing that there are things that I can do in the spiritual realm with the sport of spirit. Another application we can practice for enriching our soil possibilities is reflecting on past experiences, both those which we would identify as positive and challenging, serve as nutrients for fertilizing our inner soil. Every challenge and experience in our lives carries valuable lessons. These moments, whether we call them trials, obstacles, lessons, or whatever, they are instances of growth. And I don't know about you, but for me, when I've been caught up in those, say, negative or toxic type experiences, moving through it is not the most comfortable activity. And once I find myself on the other side of that, and take the moment to just breathe in and to see where this may have allowed me to expand and grow in my life, that's where I begin to see the good that has come out of those experiences. That's where I begin to see the positive aspects and see the fruits of the spiritual growth that I am encountering in my lives. I shared with some of you that last Sunday I was having I had a lunch date with my daughters, daddy-daughter lunch date. And so we met and we had lunch and we had a really wonderful time. And there was something that I wanted to talk to them about. And of course, I always do a setup when I say I need to talk to you about something, I add, and I'm not ready to leave. So, let's just get clear on this. And so there was something that had occurred when they were still living at home that had come into my memory, from an experience that I had gone through. And something that I had read also prompted me to say, you need to, or no, I don't need to, but this is an opportunity to make amends, if you will, or to acknowledge that an activity or an action on my part probably was not in either one of our best interest. And so the restaurant was a little noisy, so we couldn't talk about it there. So we get back in the car. So the three of us in the car, and I said, okay, now in addition to what I brought to you, this is what I really wanted to talk about. And so I'm bearing my soul and telling them, what this experience was and the direction that I could have taken might have had a different outcome. And they're looking at me and I'm going, okay, what's up here? And so when I finished, they said, well, that's not what we remember. I said, and this is what actually happened. This is what caused us to do this. And I go, oh, now I didn't know that. So it was an opportunity to reflect on the past experiences and to see where growth took place, to see that on the other side of that experience, they have developed into just amazing young women and adults and parents and successful in their various careers. And then driving back home on Monday morning, the committee in my head decided to convene an unannounced meeting while I'm down Highway 5. And in this unannounced meeting, they're going through the events of Sunday and saying, well, what if? And then you should have done this. And then they could have done this. And finally I said, shut up. The committee is dismissed. We have completed this transaction and we've moved on. And so I invite you to consider those obstacles that you have overcome in your own life experience. Each hurdle required that you dig deeper, to find new ways of thinking and acting, and to stretch beyond your comfort zone. Those obstacles, whether they were external, such as a financial hardship, or internal, such as self-doubt, provides us with a profound opportunity for understanding our capabilities and developing a stronger sense of self. We can see these experiences as essential components of our personal growth, transforming our challenges into opportunities and embracing the necessary parts of our journey. So it's all about taking that breath, as Michael Beckwith says, take that holy breath, to pause and to go within and to recognize that, yes, this was something that caused pain, and I acknowledged the pain. I didn't avoid the pain. I worked through the pain, and it took me deeper to that place where I didn't really know that was there, but it was that internal fortitude that brought me through this. I can look back and see how I overcame all of these seeming obstacles and obstructions in my life. And then the next possibility that I want to share with us is to nurture our dreams and aspirations. And I talked about this a little bit. Recognizing that the seeds of our soul, full potential, are awaiting the right conditions to flow and flourish. To manifest our dreams and operations and aspirations means taking the time necessary out of our busy lives and be willing to put in the necessary hard work to bring them to life. Now, we frequently see this in relation to physical exercise. If you follow the so-called experts, the trainers, the gurus who are experts in this. They say, you have to put in a certain amount of time every day to do this. And when I was working with my trainer, it was, I was on a schedule, and we met regularly, and I was accountable, and I also saw the results. So the same way with our mental work, it's required that we put in the time, and it's good to develop a daily practice or to develop a consistent practice, to engage in those times where you may not feel like doing that meditation, or you may not feel like reading this particular book. And something recently that I was reminded of is sometimes reading can be daunting, and it's committing to reading one chapter in the book. Just commit to reading one chapter at a time, and you get through the book. And I've done this with some books that I've had. I'll read a bit, put it down, read something else, come back to it, go around the world, if you will, and then come back to it. And once I committed to just reading one chapter at a time, it's like, wow, I'm already at the end of the book. And of course, there's some books that I'm reading one chapter at a time, and I read it slower and slower and slower because I don't want the book to end. And so it is with our daily experiences. When we hone the skill, and it could be pursuing further education, investing in personal development, or whatever else that allows you to really focus on this skill that you're wanting to develop. It allows us to go deeper, and the investment that we're making an investment in ourselves. And that's the investment that pays off. Surrounding ourselves with supportive people can provide direction for our efforts and concentrate our energy on what truly matters. Now, we're often counseled not to, or to be mindful of who we share our dreams and our goals and our aspirations with, because not everyone is going to be a supporter. The world is full of dream stealers. And I see some heads nodding. We've had that experience where the dream has been stolen. Surround yourselves with people who support you, who affirm you, who see the essence of who you are as a spiritual being. And I like to call them our spiritual accountability partners, because they're the ones that will get in your face lovingly, but get in your face very directly and say, this is what you committed to. Stay on the path. And then they offer support to be with you, to walk with you, to pray with you, to sing with you, to sit with you, or to just be a silent witness to the possibilities that are growing within each and every one of us. Because our spiritual accountability partners are growing along with us, and they're growing their aspirations and their goals by being a witness. And the same for us. We can be a witness to someone else who is on this path, that is on this journey of awakening. And then prioritizing our long-term soil health. And this requires that we commit to the long-term health of our inner soil and a willingness to release the desire for instant gratification. It's so delicious to go after the instant gratification. But after that instant moment wears off, it's like, okay, now what's next? Or, I haven't totally accomplished what it is that I had set out to. Where did I miss the mark? Then we go back into those what ifs. And the community convenes with its and then. You should have. And then you know better than to. And all of the mind chatter that goes on. When we release the desire for instant gratification from all of those places that we have opted for quick fixes, then we find ourselves in those places that require our intentional effort to adopt practices that promote and sustain our well-being. In our spiritual tradition, visioning and meditation and spiritual mind treatment are tools that we have to allow us to go deeper, to release that need for instant gratification. And out of our practices, we may recognize instant gratification or an instant realization or an instant demonstration, which comes from commitment. It comes from dedication. It comes from follow through. It comes from practice. Our continuous learning, whether through formal education or self-directed study, ensures that we continue to grow and evolve, preparing ourselves for future opportunities and challenges. Building meaningful relationships provides us with a support system that enriches our lives, offering companionship, advice, and emotional stability. And just a few concluding thoughts this morning. These practices require time, dedication, and contribute significantly to our long-term healthy inner soil and soul development. By investing in activities that promote sustainable well-being, we ensure that our foundation remains strong and fertile, capable of supporting our dreams and aspirations for years to come. So instead of seeking immediate rewards, cultivate a mindset focused on enduring growth and lasting fulfillment, leading to a richer and a more satisfying life. And our call to action this morning, and to take us back to the beginning, if you will, take us back to our foundation and our Science of Mind textbook, the mental equivalence, where Ernest Holmes reminded us that in our mental work, we must realize that there is one infinite mind which is consciously and consistently directing our destiny. So it is our invitation to declare every day that no mistakes have been made, none are being made, and none can be made. And I'm thinking of Ricky Byers wrote a song that says, "No mistakes have been made in God. In all the ways that we seem to fail, it all fades into God." No mistakes have been made in God. And Ernest reminds us to declare that there is one supreme intelligence which governs, guides, and guards all that we do, the ways that we act, and guides us how to act. And having done this in perfect faith and perfect assurance, we further declare that everything necessary to the complete expression of the most boundless experience of joy is mine now. I know this, I see it, I feel it, and I be it. Let us now say together our affirmation for this week, which is on our screen. I enrich my soil of possibilities, nurturing a fertile ground for my dreams to grow. And Reverend Tony offered us a very nice reminder last week with the affirmation. For those of you who are viewing via Zoom, and for those who are part of our Facebook and YouTube community, the affirmation can be found there. So periodically go back during the week and review the affirmation to support and to allow you to further expand into this place where you know it, you see it, you feel it, and you be it. This is our call to action. Let us pray together. As I turn within, I recognize the power and presence of God that is always in my life. It is the very essence of who I am. And it is the very essence of each one that is gathered here this morning in our center, and those who are joining us via the magnificent technology that is available to us. As we move and live and be and recognize that we are one with this eternal life force, God, the divine, the supreme, the one infinite source, however it is that we define this idea, I believe that each one has an idea that resonates in their heart of how the divine speaks and moves and operates through each one. So I invite you to just go there now and to be with this place where the essence of who you are resonates. As I speak my word this morning for joyful conclusions, for joyful outcomes, for expressive outcomes where we have done the mental work and we have planted into the soil of the divine inner expression. Those dreams, those hopes, those aspirations, those things that bring meaning to life, those things that bring a smile to our heart, that bring a smile to the very essence of who we are. Knowing that as I move through the experiences of life, that I am guided, that I am guarded, I am directed, I am shown how to act, when to act, what to act upon. And most importantly for me, I am shown how to be still, how to be in the silence, to know when to speak, to know when to just affirm that the highest outcome is happening. And as I know this truth for myself, I affirm it and speak it as a truth for all who are aware and who are in tune with this inner place of peace. I speak my word this morning for our nation, just declaring that peace prevails in the midst of the distractions, in the midst of the chaos, in the midst of the demonstrations, in the midst of the support, in the midst of everything that is happening in the world of effect. I know that it cannot and it will not take me off my center, knowing that God is the source of everything that I require in my life. And as this is true for me, I know it to be the truth for all people in all places everywhere. God is the source. Regardless of whatever the distractions are, I come back to that place of saying and knowing that God is my source. God provides for me everything that I need. I speak my word this morning for those who are experiencing transitions in their lives. However those transitions are showing up, whether it's right livelihood, whether it is right housing, whether it is right relationships with self and with others. As we set the intention to be the place where God shows up, to remember that I am the place where God shows up, I am affirming and knowing and declaring that everything is resolving for the highest and best outcome for everyone that is involved. I speak my word of blessing and gratitude this morning for places where people are gathering in the name and nature of oneness. Knowing that along this journey, there are points where our paths may intersect. And may those intersections be places of joy and excitement and acknowledgement that we are one. We are in this together. We're excited to know that the spiritual essence of life is manifesting in everything that we say and think and do. And as we continue on the journey, even though it may appear that we're going separately, We're united in consciousness because our consciousness makes a difference. And so for this and for so much more, I give thanks. I give thanks for the word that is spoken, knowing that my word cannot and will not return void. And so I give thanks for the demonstrations that are happening right here and right now. Knowing that it is done, knowing that it is done well, I just release and let go into that law which always says yes. And if anything that I have said in this prayer resonates with you in any way, please affirm it with me as we say together, and so it is. And so it is. And now is the opportunity for us to participate further in the divine flow as we share our abundance with our community. And again, I just want to thank this community for how you continue to support us, not only with your finances, but with your physical presence, with the volunteering that takes place, that which is seen and a lot of which is unseen. You know, a lot of the volunteering, I see the effect of it. I don't necessarily know who is engaged in it. Sometimes I know, sometimes I don't know. I am grateful for how we show up and support our center. And we have an affirmation of abundance that I would like for us to share, stay together now. I recognize the presence of God as the source of my abundance. Out of my abundance consciousness flows everything I could desire in life. With gratitude and thanksgiving, I now participate in the flow of uninterrupted abundance. This prosperous experience is evidence of my abundance consciousness, and so it is. I also like to say thank you to our virtual community. You may go ahead. That supports us through their donations. We have posted on our screen the ways that you can support our center. You may mail in your donations to our physical address, 400 West Franklin Street, Monterey 93940. You may contribute by text, and you may text the word give to 831-246-9694. And you may also donate online to our website, montereycsl.org, and click on the donate button. And while you're on our website, another plug for the newsletter. If you're not a recipient of our weekly newsletter, you may sign up for it on our website. And we invite you to check the newsletter on a weekly basis to find out what is going on here in the center. And for those of you who are within a reasonable distance of the center, you define reasonable, we invite you to come and participate in the activities that are going on here. For those of you who are joining us online, again, we welcome you, we love you, and we invite you to tune in next Sunday, where we're continuing our theme, Fertilizing Our Future. And the topic is Visioning Beyond the Horizon. And so we say to our virtual Facebook and YouTube community, we love you, we appreciate you, we thank you, and God bless you.